I've made over $32,000 on Prizepicks, and I'm going to be going through all of the strategies that people use, from casual bettors to the very sharp bettors that are making a consistent income sports betting. And every single strategy I go through is essentially going to get judged by, one, is it actually even profitable? And two, can it be used long term? I'm going to start with the more casual better strategies, and then I'm going to go all the way to the most profitable strategy that I know of at the absolute end of the video. So make sure you watch the entire video. That way not only can you learn, but start using and implementing these strategies. This isn't a strategy that you can make a big sum of money like on Prizepicks and never do it again. This is a strategy that you can use consistently on multiple different betting apps. That way you can actually take advantage of these sports books long term and make a consistent side income. I'm going to give you a quick insight into the Discord and show you how many Prizepicks slips we've actually even cashed this week, let alone this month. In just 1 week of sports betting, using the exact strategies I'm going to teach you and avoiding the ones I'm going to teach you that casual bettors are using, we've cashed over 225x on just 2 of the 5 or 6 DFS apps that we use in the Discord, and that are pretty much available to anyone in a good state for sports betting. Now, as you can see, we've cashed over 170x on Prizepicks and 55x on Dabble. Now, all of these slips were posted in our VIP Discord, and you can get that with the first link in the description. Plus, if you use code YouTube at checkout, you'll get 50% off this exact Discord. Now, I'm going to teach you exactly how to do this, so stay tuned and let's get into it. Now, the first thing I'm going to go over is one of the most casual strategies that most sports bettors use on pretty much all DFS apps, but Prizepicks specifically gives you a very easy access to the last 5 games. Now, I'm going to tell you exactly why this is a terrible strategy to use, and if you are using this strategy in your day-to-day base analysis for making plays, you are going to lose long term. Now, think about why Prizepicks would give you this so easily accessed on their app. Why would they let you see something like this that would actually turn you profitable? Because most of the time, as you can see on most of these last 5s, you'll notice that all of the lines are either green or all of the lines are either red, right? And as you can see, just the top 4, either green or either red. Now, why are they all green and why are they all red? Because most of the time, if they're all green or they're all red, you're going to take the side that is favored. For example, 2 pointers made, his line is at 5. As you can see, the last 5 games, he either hit 5 or he went over 5. And the 4 out of the 5 games, he actually went over 5. The last 2 games being outliers, 11 and 8. Now, for example, 70,000 people are taking this exact bet. They're taking it for this exact reason. 70,000 people are looking at the last 5 on the popular tab, and they're taking the over because the green lines say so. Prizepicks does not give you this for your benefit. They give it for their benefit. You have to remember, these sportsbooks are out to make money off of you. They're not going to help you in any shape or form. If we take a look at another one, Karl-Anthony Towns, 38,000 people are taking this exact bet, and we can assume they're taking the under because the last 5 says so. His average of his last 5 is 29.8, and the line is 34.5. To a casual bettor, this looks like an amazing under bet. Now, I'm going to explain to you why this is a terrible bet. If you take a look at points, rebounds, and assists for 34.5 line for Towns, now unfortunately, no matter if he goes on the under or the over, the sports bettors are still losing money long term because of juice, aka VIG. Let's just take a look to see what side he's actually favorited, because as of right now, everyone believes he's 100% going on the under. Before we continue, if you click the first link in the description, you'll be able to get all of my plays 50% off with code YouTube at checkout. Plus, if you want to try any of these tools for completely free, there's a 5-day free trial with Upside Tools. Plus, if you use code ICON at checkout, you'll be able to get 25% off with the second link in the description. Now, let's get back into it. If we take a look at the sharpest sportsbook in the world, a billion-dollar company with billion-dollar company algorithms that are consistently monitoring absolutely everything for sports betting, we can take a look at their line that they project it should be. Karl-Anthony Towns, points, rebounds, and assists. If we go down here to 34.5, the same line on Prizepicks, the over is at -118 and the under is -112. Now, for anybody who sports bets at all on any kind of sports books, you'll know that minus money equals a favorite and plus money equals a underdog. Now, right here, you'll see -118 is a favorite and -112 is a favorite on the over and the under. How can he be a favorite on the over and the under? Because of juice, because of VIG. Now, I will get into that. But what we first need to understand is what side is more of a favorite. The more side of a favorite is the over, because he is 6 cents more favorited to the over than it is on the under. Now, just based on those numbers, we know the over is slightly more favored than the under. And as we can see here, everybody is taking the under because his last 5 say so. We are going off a billion-dollar algorithm or a last 5 chart on Prizepicks that is public to the audience. What side is probably more correct? I'm gonna go back to what it means that juice and vig is giving both sides a favorite. Basically, what sportsbooks do is they give you a probability that adds up to more than 100 for two outcomes. Now, what do I mean by this? They could give you heads for 55% of the time, and they can give you tails for 55% of the time. Now, what does that mean? That's 110%. There is no way that that could equal 110% if it was even or two outcomes. That doesn't make sense, right? So what they do is they add that 10% and they take it. Essentially, what they do is everything over that 100% outcome, they take as juice or vig, aka like the fee they put in their bets. So that's how they make their money. It's like a tax for placing that bet. Now, every single bet has this. So what we would like to do is basically take that away so we can at least say what the real odds are. Fair odds are essentially just recalculating it to a 50-50 outcome. And what we're doing is essentially just removing the vig and making sure that if we flip both sides of the coin, it always adds up to 100% instead of an extra fee or tax, aka the vig, right? So as you can see, if we put in that FanDuel line at -118 and -112, you'll see the vig is 6.96%. Every single bet placed on Karl Anthony Towns at 34.5 points, rebounds, and assists on FanDuel receives 6.96% of your money that you place down. Now, Prizepicks also does this. They do this in a different form, and we'll get into that. But essentially, what FanDuel is doing is making 7% of your money every single time. Now, their lines are very, very sharp, which means they are very close to either over or under. No matter what side you should take, you should pretty much break even 50-50, as close to as possible. If you break even 50% and 50%, you're still losing 7% every single bet. You're losing long term. So what we need to do is we need to not only beat the odds of the juiced side, which means we need to beat -118, or we need to beat -112. We need to beat the no juice, the no vig odds. That way we can profit long term. So if we put in a bet at -102 or +102 of CAT PRA, no matter what app or sportsbook we use, if we put in this exact line at -102 or +102, we're going to break even 50-50 because FanDuel has very, very sharp player prop lines. So what we need to do is find an over or an under better than these odds. So for this, it needs to be -101 or better, and for this one, it needs to be +103 or better, essentially getting more bang for our buck on this exact bet. So what we just need to do is go back to Prizepicks and see if we're even getting that. This is where understanding Prizepick parlay types is very important. Now I'm going to pop up a chart that explains the exact probabilities you need to be profitable long-term on Prizepicks. Now, all of these probabilities turn into odds. So what we need for a three-man power, for example, one of the easiest slip types to build and profit long-term, is you would need -122 odds, because all of the odds actually have a win probability, and that's the biggest difference between casual bettors and sharp bettors. Understanding that is very, very important. As we can see, if we build a three-man power, if we break even at -122 odds, we get a 6x multiplier. So if we go over here on Prizepicks, you'll see that if we build a three-man parlay, no matter if we take the over or the under, we always get a 6x payout as long as there's no payout shift due to correlation. That's much more in depth, and we can go into that later. Now, why do all three of these legs have to be evenly distributed? Because all three of these over or under are a 50-50 payout platform, which means they're all equally weighted, right? Because there's no odds on DFS apps like Prizepicks or Pick6 or Better or anything like that. So what we need to do is we need to basically use math probabilities to find the real odds of what we need to be getting. So to break even on a three-man 6x, what we need to do is find plays that are better than -122 on all three legs to be able to be profitable long term. Now we need to find those odds that are actually better comparing to sharp books. Because if we compare to a really bad book that has terrible odds, we'll never know if we're really beating the books long term. What we need to do is we need to compare to sharp books like FanDuel and sharp books like DraftKings and the sharp exchanges like NoVIG and ProfitX to be able to be assured that we are actually profiting against sharp action and sharp money and billion-dollar algorithms instead of just getting dipped by a really bad sportsbook that doesn't set their odds correctly. How do we know if we're beating these odds that we need to beat to be able to be profitable long term? By devigging or NoVIG calculating these exact odds we have on FanDuel. So -118, -112, we're getting -102 for the over or +102 for the under. Now, as you can see, if we put in the -102 we're getting on FanDuel, you can see that it bumps our payout to a 6.5x. So essentially, if we put two regular Prizepick lines, over or under -122, and we put our FanDuel DVIG line, we'll notice that we get a 6.5x payout. We're not getting that, which means we need a 0.5x payout more to be profitable long term using this prop alone. So not only can you see the discrepancy we have with just one prop, imagine three. Imagine if we're DVigging 3 different props and putting minus 102 on all 3 props, we should be getting a 7.7x payout instead of a typical 6x. That is the 6% edge that FanDuel, Prizepicks, all of the DFS apps, all the sportsbooks get every single slip you build. Now, parlays are much worse because 6% multiplies over multiple legs on one single parlay. So every time you build a 6-man parlay and not knowing what you're doing, building off the last 5, using the casual betting strategies, you're losing long-term significantly. Now, this leads me to another terrible strategy that casual bettors use on Prizepicks is the popular tab. Clicking on the popular tab, looking at all the popular bets, feels like social proof for you to place this exact bet. Like I said, they look at the last 5, they take the over, or they look at the last 5 and they take the under. But looking at the social proof of 74,000 people taking this bet and 54,000 people taking this bet, it feels like, oh, a lot of people are taking this bet, I should be taking this as well. But if you just take a look at what percentage of bettors lose in the long run, you'll see that 95 to 99% of sports bettors lose money in the long run. Not the short term, only a tiny minority of about 1 to 5% of sports bettors consistently beat bookmakers over time. And those type of bettors get limited just like that. These sports bettors that are 74,000 people, 54,000 people are going to be unprofitable. Just mathematically, 1 to 5% of people is not 74,000 people. That is not 54,000 people on the popular board. A popular strategy is fading the public, right? So taking the under, taking the under, taking the over, right? This looks like a profitable strategy because everyone believes you should take the over on Mikal. Everyone believes you should take the under on Cat, right? And just fading this public seems like a profitable strategy for some sharper guys. But a popular losing bet doesn't make it a winning one. Essentially, sports bettors can lose long term and you can fade the exact bet and you'll still lose long term. That takes me back to the DVigging side of things. If we take a look at this minus 118 and minus 112, right? If we put in the bet at minus 118, Carl's over, and we take his bet on the under at minus 112, if we DVig those odds, the fair odds of that book without any juice, we'll notice the NoVIG odds are minus 102 and plus 102. If we knew 90,000 people were taking the minus 118 line and we said, hey, let's just take the under because everyone's taking the over. What that means is if we took that line at minus 112, we would be unprofitable by 10 cents because the NoVIG odds, the fair odds of this bet is plus 102, which means if we take it at minus 112, we're still negative and losing long term because we still have a ton of VIG, a ton of juice in that bet. So although fading the public seems like a great idea all the time, fading the public doesn't mean they're always going to be wrong. Some of these plays are going to hit, but the problem is if you fade the public and only use that as your betting strategy, you're still vulnerable to the large amount of VIG that they put on their bets. Now that kind of ties into my next strategy that people use, demons and goblins. Now a lot of them are being used on the popular tab. As you can see, 20,000 people are taking this bet. I'm going to show you why demons and goblins are 95% of the time scams and only 1 to 2% of people are really using demons specifically in a profitable way. Now if you're using demons in a profitable way, you know something that a lot of people don't, but I'm going to go over something that a lot of people still don't know. For Cat to go over his assist as an extra payout demon slip, you can notice that he had 7, he had 10, he had 5 here, he had 7 on the last 5. He's 20,000 people on the popular tab. It seems like a good over, especially because I'm getting an extra payout for something he can easily do at 10, a 7 assist game. He's easily able to go over this, especially in his last game. But if you just take a look at the odds you're getting for this, if you just pair him with a random prop, we'll just take Donovan Mitchell, over or under, it does not matter, we get the same payout. As you'll see, we'll get a $100 to $375 payout. Now, what does a 2-man equate to? A 2-man, leading into another terrible strategy, is just creating 2-mans in general. You'll get minus 136 odds for a 2-man parlay. So a typical 2-man parlay, you'll get a 3x payout, which means each odd is minus 136. Now, remember the 3-man parlay we built that are minus 122 odds all across the board. As you'll notice, a 2-man parlay is already 14 cents worse on each leg, 28 cent discrepancy by just building a 2-man power and a 3-man power. Remember that probability chart? That's exactly what this is. Now, because one of these is a demon, we need to look at the demon odds. As we go to FanDuel, you'll see plus 164 on the over and minus 225 on the under. Now, if we input the FanDuel odds that we're getting at plus 164 for the demon, and we put the minus 136 we get for building a 2-man, which please stop doing, you'll notice we should be getting a 4.5x payout. Now, if we go back over to Prizepicks, as you can see, $100 gets a 3.75x payout. That is almost $100 difference, a little under $100 worse outcome if we just take this on Prizepicks as opposed to FanDuel. So now, if we take a deeper look, what odds are we actually getting for this demon slip? Now remember, it was plus 164 over on FanDuel. If you take a look, plus 116 and the same leg, minus 136, equals a 3.75x payout. The same 3.75x payout we're getting on Prizepicks. For this Donovan Mitchell prop, it does not change anything. Minus 136 stays the same. For this plus 168 odds that we're getting on FanDuel, now turns to plus 116. Can you see how much of a worse payout that is by just taking this demon slip on Prizepicks? They hide these odds behind demons and goblins and don't let you know that you're actually getting a terrible discount for just taking a demon on Prizepicks as opposed to taking the same overline on FanDuel, the sharpest sports betting book in the world. But we're also getting worse odds than the juice line of FanDuel, so we're getting plus 116, a terrible discrepancy of about 40-50 cents. Not only are we getting way worse odds on one prop, but our entire slip is just getting nuked $100 for absolutely no reason, just because we want to take a demon because it looks better, or because it's on the popular tab and has 20,000 people tailing it, right? Or his last 5 looks good and you can see 7 assists, 10 assists, and you're getting more of a payout for something that looks better than what it is. Now at the end of this video, I could take a look and I say, oh, does Towns actually go over this line? Maybe he did, or maybe he didn't. But no matter what, if he cashed or if he chalked this slip, it does not matter. You are losing money long term no matter if it cashes or chalks because of this VIG right here. Minus 6.54% VIG. You are losing 6.5% every single time you take this bet. Now pairing that on a 2-man parlay where you're getting 14 cents worse for Donovan Mitchell over or under no matter what side you take, plus you're getting worse odds because of a demon on Karl Anthony Towns, plus this line is already juiced, plus we're comparing to FanDuel that we didn't even devig or take the juice out of. We are losing so much money through that entire process on every single bet you're placing. This is not a profitable strategy. You have to stop doing this. Now, a very profitable sports betting strategy I highly recommend is EV betting. Now, you can use a tool like Upside Tools, which is very cost efficient for what we're trying to do, and you can actually get a 5-day free trial for doing this. That's going to be the second link in the description, so make sure you try that out. But what you can do is you can go to EV props and you can click on Prizepicks or whatever DFS app you're doing. It does not matter. This works across all the DFS apps, right? All of these 5 apps you can definitely use this strategy on. So what I first would do is set your filters, right? And there's some pre-made filters right here, map prop weights. And what this does is, because we're betting on player props and not game lines on Prizepicks, right? We're weighting FanDuel at 6 and we're weighting DraftKings at 2. What does this mean? FanDuel is one of the sharpest books in the world, the sharpest book for player props, right? So we're weighting that a lot. We take FanDuel's odds into account very heavily. We're also going to be weighting NoVIG and ProfitX, where really sharp bettors are making markets. And I actually teach you how to do that in my NoVIG video, so I highly recommend going to watch that. But what we want to do is we want to weight bettors that are also making these really sharp markets, right? So not only are we weighting FanDuel 6, but we're also weighting sharp exchanges, and then we're also weighting DraftKings, right? And as you can see, we see these percentage to hit. Now, if you remember the percentage to hit chart I shown you, it's the same one right here. 5-pick flex, 6-pick flex, 3-pick power. These are all really profitable slip types. We need about a 55% hit rate or better to be able to be profitable long term. Whereas if we take a look at that 2-pick power I talked about earlier, a 57.6% of the time. Now that doesn't seem like a huge difference, but over the long term, every single bet, if you lose an extra 2.6%, you are going to lose a ton of money over the course of 6 months. Now, once we have our filter set, if we click play, we'll be able to see all of the live bets. I'm going to click it for pause for now. That way I can actually put in these bets without anything moving. If we take a look at Jackson Merrill, under 0.5 singles at minus 119. Now we're not getting minus 119 for our 3-pick power. I went over this. We're getting minus 122. These are the odds if you make a 5-pick flex or a 6-pick flex, the most profitable slip type on Prizepicks currently. But what we want to do is, if we're building a 3-pick power like I'm going to right now, we want to beat minus 122 odds, okay? So if we take a look at DraftKings, a sharp player prop book like we explained, minus 144. If we take a look at the rest of the market, minus 130, minus 145. Now these books are kind of bad, but it agrees with a sharp book like DraftKings. I'm okay with taking this bet, right? Minus 144 is significantly better than minus 122 that we're getting on Prizepicks. So what I would do is just take a copy of Merrill, go ahead and go to baseball right here, and go ahead and click paste and take his under singles line. It's very, very simple what we're doing on a day-to-day basis, right? And then if we just go down a little bit more, we'll see Keldon Johnson, right? Keldon Johnson on the over 0.5 assists, minus 139 on a sharp exchange like NoVIG, minus 139 on DraftKings, a very sharp player prop book. If we take Keldon Johnson, all we want to do is go to NBA and take Keldon Johnson on his over assist line 0.5, and we have another profitable sports bet, right? So all we need to do is do this over and over and build the most profitable slip types 3-pick power, 5-pick flexes, 6-pick flexes, and build profitable slips. Now, for our last prop on this power play, what we want to do is take a look at Crawford. His over 0.5 runs at -122, we're getting on a NoVIG sharp exchange -128, but we're getting on the two sharpest player prop books -133 and -145. He is being heavily favored on all of these sports books to go over his runs. If we just take a look on Prizepicks, we are getting this exact run line. Well, as you can see, Keldon Johnson just got bumped. In real time, while I'm recording this video, he got bumped. Now, what does this mean? And Jackson Merrill also got bumped into a demon slip, okay? What they just did live as I'm building this slip, they literally just bumped both of these players to different lines. They basically said there's no reason these should be on the board anymore. They're too profitable as sports bets. We don't have an edge on these bets. We're taking them off the board so nobody can take them. Now, this happens to me on a day-to-day basis, right? What I want to do is continuously finding bets like this because that means I'm building the right slips. If they're taking the bets off the board, then I'm putting in the right bets in the first place because they're taking them off. So bettors like me cannot place them because that means I will make money long term. If we take a look at this Sam over 9.5 points in assist line, -122, two sharp exchanges at -140 on both lines and -130 on DraftKings, I'm going to be taking Merrill on the over points and assists. Now, I need to hurry and build this out so that way I don't get bumped again. Now, this slip I built right here, Crawford, Merrill, and Ohtani, all three of these props have a huge edge on the entire sharp market. Now, why do I call them the sharp market? These are the billion-dollar books and companies that have a really good algorithm and have been known to set their lines very, very well. They set their lines to the point where if you take their over or the under, the long term, you're going to land about 50-50. But they take a small fee and a small percentage. That way, they're able to take a little bit of money from you long term that you can't even see. Now, if I'm taking these bets for a better price, that means I'm going to be taking the edge they have and taking a little bit more of my own edge and be able to be long-term profitable like they are compared to the rest of the casual bettors. If I take a look at this slip, I built this whole entire profitable slip, and if I go to put $15 on it, what you'll notice is I can't even place this slip. The reason I cannot place this slip and this won't go through is because I am limited to $1 bets. I can only put this bet in for $1. Even an unprofitable sports bet like these popular tab, Demon and Goblins, I still can't even put those in. As you can see, Mikal Bridges, James Harden, and Talent, if I take a look and try to put this in for $10, it's not going to let me. They will not let me sports bet on their app because I have made $30,000 on there, and they said there is no way we can let this guy keep taking our action. So they completely stopped me from betting. Now, they let casual bettors continuously bet and bet thousands of dollars every single month because they know they're going to be winning long term. Now, I explained EV betting and I explained a bunch of terrible casual strategies, but one of the easiest ways to make money sports betting across Prizepicks, Better, Pick Six, any sports book, even the exchanges where really sharp bettors are making money, you can just join my Discord where I post all of these plays for you. I make every single bet, take all of the time out of your day of doing all of the research, doing all of the line comparison, looking at sharp markets, understanding odds and parlay types, and I build them for you and notify you every single time one is made. I have a few other guys in the Discord that are very sharp and very vetted, and we profit on a long-term basis. We have a public month-to-month recap at my $32,000 right there to prove that I actually make money sports betting. If you did enjoy this video, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on the post notifications. And if you do want all of my plays 50% off, remember the first link in the description, code YouTube at checkout. And if you do want to try out all the tools that I use in this video, there's a 5-day free trial with the second link in the description. Plus, you'll get 25% off if you use code ICON at checkout. See you later.